Hello and welcome to Positive Pets. I'm your host, Melissa, but you can call me MJ, and I'm here with Sam today. We're going to be talking about trick dog training and how trick training can also apply to real life skills, obedience, and manners as well. So Sam has a lab named Mooney, and Mooney was in class today. Yep. Did you enjoy trick class with Mooney?
I did. I love going to trick class with Mooney. It's really fun to see what your dogs can do. A lot of the times she does a lot that I didn't expect that she could. And it's just really cool to teach her these things.
And she's young too. She's only 6 months old now?
6 months old, yep.
Yeah. When did you start trick training with Mooney?
We started pretty much right when we got her. We started. We moved recently to Fairhaven. Once we got her to our house, we started doing all kinds of training with her. And I wanted her to be super smart.
Do you know how many tricks she knows already?
Over 15, I believe.
That's a lot. That's impressive for a puppy.
Yep.
And we should introduce you as well. So Sam also works at MJ's. Sam is a groomer at MJ's, and she's been with us for
about 1.5 years now. I started in December of 2016.
Yeah, and you were a client before you were working with us. So what were you looking for as a client in a groomer, and how did you end up finding us?
I had taken my other dog, Iggy. He was my first dog, and we had taken him to a few places and chain places, and I wanted something where I knew he was going to be safe, and I knew he was going to be treated. He was going to have fun. That's what I wanted, for him to have a good experience.
For him to be a little bit spoiled.
For him to be spoiled, definitely. And I had asked online, and someone had recommended you, and I'll never forget, I got pictures from you when he was there, and he was bringing you all the toys and stuff.
Oh, he's so cute.
And that was a big thing. Like, you want to bring your dog somewhere that you know is safe for them.
Yeah.
And you feel good about leaving your dog there.
And did you ever think you would be grooming at MJ's?
I did. I always had this weird feeling. Like, I talked to my wife about it, and I'd be like, hey, I think I could see myself working there. Like, that'd be really cool. And my grandfather was actually a dog groomer in the 60s and 70s. So it was something that, was always around in my family. And,
yeah.
But I had no idea how to get into it.
Which it's super interesting that your grandfather was a groomer too, because grooming wasn't as popular. A lot of people might have been grooming their dogs at home, or there were just 1 or 2 grooming shops around in each neighborhood. So that's really neat that you have that in your family.
Yeah, it was always, it was, my grandfather passed before I was born, but I have pictures of him grooming poodles, and he did show poodles and stuff like that.
Oh, that's really cool. You have to bring them for me to see.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So it was always something that I wanted to get into, but around here, I didn't know how, and everybody was like, hey, you need experience, And I remember when I saw the ad that you had posted up on Facebook, and I talked to my wife, and I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot, and you messaged me back, and
yeah, it worked out.
It worked out, yeah.
Now, you bring a creative aspect to grooming. What do you like about grooming that allows you to be creative?
I like the creative grooming because I feel like you can give the dogs personality. My little guy Iggy is sporting a mohawk, and I think it just makes him look so cool.
We've had a couple of people asking for mohawks now.
Yes.
I think you're inspiring that look.
Definitely. If anyone wants to come in and wants a mohawk, I'm all about it.
Sam's your girl.
Yep, definitely.
And also, speaking of creativity, the training aspect too, we use a lot of creative methods in training and getting dogs to work with us and be happy about training and doing tricks. So tonight we're talking about trick training, and I think we can kind of talk about creativity and how we use that in trick training, because it's not always just opening an instructional book and following the step-by-steps. Sometimes every dog's a little different, so sometimes you have to use some different methods and different types of motivation with the dogs as well. Yep. So we worked on a few new tricks tonight. Mooney learned how to unroll a carpet. But should we tell the truth about how that went?
Yeah, we can tell the truth about Mooney.
Mooney is a very happy lab, which anyone that owns a lab knows that they're just goofy and silly. Yep. And especially at 6 months old, adolescent dogs can be really challenging. So she's at that age, and she's just adorable in trick class because she knows so many tricks, but sometimes she has her own kind of style with them.
Yep. She's very I don't know if clumsy is the right word to use for her.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's just she's very food motivated, which is a great thing.
Oh yes, she loves food.
But her attention span sometimes isn't all there, and I think that goes along with her being so young.
Yeah.
But she'll get there.
We call her a baby elephant.
Yeah,
sometimes.
she's a baby elephant. She's our little baby elephant.
She's a good dog.
Yep.
So one of the tricks we worked on today was teaching the dogs to unroll a carpet, which just sounds like kind of silly. Why would you need to use that? But it's actually a cool behavior because you can train the dogs to target something with their nose and actually work towards pushing the carpet open, which is, again, it's just a trick, but you can use this for other things. So you can teach dogs to do push lights, like targeting a light with their nose to turn the light on. I don't know. What else can you think of that we might use nose targeting for?
Nose targeting.
We probably have so many. We would be on here all night talking.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the light switches at my house and how it'd be awesome if she could just shut them off for me.
Yeah, I like that idea because then you can get rid of your you have like
all the technology. Yeah. I spend a lot of time like yelling at things, telling it to shut off,
and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
and then the dog just goes and
if
does
she
it.
just did it for her, it'd be better.
I like giving dogs jobs. So even if it's just something silly like that, like training them to go fetch you something or turn off the lights, you're making them a part of the family. And you're not just like, hey, they're just kind of existing with me. Like they're participating just like any other family member. Yeah. And it tires them out. So that gets rid of a lot of the behavioral problems that we see in dogs when they have a job.
I find that that's actually a big thing too. I know a lot of people go through puppies chewing, and that's not something I've ever experienced because we do these classes.
Yeah.
And she's tired out, and
that's excellent.
It works.
You've never told me that. I'm so glad to hear it.
We've never had to deal with chewing. It's not a problem.
They're always busy doing something else.
Yep. Yeah, she's always looking for something to do.
And you do a lot of different classes. So right now you're doing tricks and manners. I think maybe scent detection is down the line somewhere.
Yeah, scent detection. Yeah, we definitely want to do that. I think it would be really interesting. My wife collects taxidermy pieces and antlers specifically, and she really wants to go out traipsing in the woods, and I know that we can train Mooney to go find those antlers for us. So
hey, we talked about this last week. A few people have come through for the scent detection and have mentioned that, so that's a popular thing right now. So with the scent detection, we train them on essential oil odors that are used in the competitions that they have for dogs. So we might use birch, anise, or clove, but there's also other odors with different organizations. A lot of people ask, like, are they just searching for food? If you see the pictures we post on Facebook and the videos, you might think they're just looking for food, but we actually train them so they're going to go past food. Last week in class, what we did is we had a bunch of bags out, and we put treats in some bags and the target odors in other bags, and the dogs actually had to go to the target odors and ignore the food. So that was a big challenge.
Oh, wow, yeah,
but it's really cool to watch. It's amazing to see dogs in their element and doing work that they love.
That's really interesting. I'd love to see Mooney do that. I'd love to see her go away from food.
Walk past a slice of pizza. She'll do it.
I think that would be a challenge, but I think she'll do it. She surprises me when we go to these classes, the things that she picks up on. Even tonight we were talking about how a lot of the more complicated things she gets really fast, and then the easier things is not so much. So
isn't it funny how that works? I think maybe when we're trying to train something complex, like we think it through more than when we're like, oh, just roll over. That's easy.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I had no idea I was going to be able to train her how to play dead. She does that very well.
Yeah, she's really good with that one.
I didn't think, because I tried with my little one, and Iggy was just not.
Oh, Iggy.
he's not as responsive to training for tricks. He knows his basics, but it was something that I didn't think I would be able to do. And Mooney's just all about it.
She loves it.
She loves it, yeah.
And that's a good point. Some dogs don't like certain tricks. So when you're training tricks, look at things that work best for that dog. If they don't want to roll over or sit pretty, it might not be that they're disobeying you, because that's hardly ever the case. It might just be that doesn't work for their anatomy, or for whatever reason, they just don't want to do that. So do tricks that your dog likes, and give your dog kind of a choice in training is really important.
Yeah. I think another big thing too is we were talking about it a little bit today in class with my older lab. She had no idea what even the basic commands were.
Yeah.
So the easiest way I found to get her to do anything was to up the value of the treats I was giving her. I started out with sliced turkey, and then that got her to sit pretty well. So
that's her high value.
That's her high value. Yep. And now we're working on down, and it's funny because I didn't think she would be able to do these things either. She's almost 3 years old and didn't really know sit or down or any of that, and just upping the value of the treats really got her to to
And
be
now she
motivated
probably
to do
loves to work.
Yep, yep.
We say work, but I don't know. They probably don't think of it as work at all.
No, probably not. They're just looking for the food.
Yeah. And then the next step with training is to transition that food out of the pitcher, which can be hard. And a lot of people ask about that. So I'll kind of go into explaining how we do that a little bit. So there's different types of motivation in training animals, or, it works for humans too. We have different types of motivation. We do something because we get paid for it. But with animals, you can start to phase out the food, and you teach them to just kind of have an enjoyment in working. So if you ask someone to do something they enjoy doing for free, they're going to be likely to do it. But then if you pay them to do that same activity, they'll do it. But then again, if you ask them to do it without the pay, when you've put the pay into the pitcher, they might say, well, I'm not doing it now. You paid me for it last time. Yeah. So when we're training dogs, we're looking at ways to make them really motivated about working and doing the training. That way, when we don't have food with us, they're still interested in participating.
Yep. I know with Mooney, the food, obviously that's our big motivation, but we transition to toys every now and then.
Yeah.
To get her used to that. And then every once in a while, we just take away the food.
Yeah. Praise.
Lots of praise. Lots of, you're a good girl. You're a good little elephant.
Good little elephant. Good big elephant.
Yeah, she's getting big.
She's growing so fast.
She is. We were just looking at pictures of her from when we first got her, and she was like this tiny little peanut. And now I have a picture of her. I was holding her, and now if that happens, it happens
so fast. One of the things you can use for rewards also is even just sniffing. So if you're out on a walk with your dog and they want to walk with you and pay attention, you can use sniffing as a reward. So give them a choice to go sniff the grass and kind of take a break. But be creative with rewards too. I had a weird situation this week where I was handling a dog that's like a little bit reactive, and I was outside and I wanted to do something other than food. So another dog was far off in the parking lot in the distance. I'm like, let's see what this dog is interested in instead of paying attention to that other dog. So when I acknowledged that dog right away, I did something. I just grabbed some grass and I like threw it up in the air, and the dog's like, whoa. Yeah. That was really interesting. And then I said, let's go sniff over here instead of, pay attention to this dog. I may not have said those exact words. The dog doesn't understand what I meant. But, so dogs will work even if you don't have cookies in your pocket. Yeah. So if you're training correctly and you're training with that and as an end goal, they definitely will, and they enjoy it.
That's what I'm noticing now with Mooney in class. She's reacting to when people first walk in and whatnot, and I'm trying everything I can in the background to get her attention on me, because I want the focus on me, not the thing that's setting her off.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And we have to make ourselves more interesting than like squirrels and rabbits and bicycles. If we have anyone that wants to call in too, if you have any questions about trick training or just general dog training questions that we can answer for you, feel free to call in.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Another cool thing I think with the trick training too is that, we can teach the dog some things that go into their grooming.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I really like teaching them how to file their own nails.
Yeah,
I think that's a really cool one. What else do we do?
Targeting on the table.
Targeting.
And then the climb, we have a platform, it's called the climb, and the dogs learn to climb up onto the platform, and then that helps them get into the tub and on the table. We have dogs that if they're nervous of grooming, we'll actually groom them on the climb. So that way they have the choice to leave if they want to. It's low enough that the dog, if they're telling us they're stressed out, they can just hop off and kind of leave. Yeah. My little Sunday buddy, I think you know who that is, I've been working with.
Sunday. Oh, yeah.
She's doing so well. So that's how I use the climb. And now, he goes in there and he's just so happy about grooming. Yeah, it's awesome. That was a big transition. And also on the table, like teaching them to stand and lay down when they're up on a table. So even if your dog can do these things on the ground, it's a lot different for them when they're up on a table, because then their muscles are different. They're using different muscle groups because they know they're raised up, so they have different movement. So teaching them how to work on a raised surface can be really helpful also.
Yeah, that raised surfaces, that's a good one. What was it, a few weeks back when we did the peanut?
Yeah.
It's so fun to see these little dogs, like, just get right on it. And then you have me with the biggest dog in the class, and she's like...
she's so clumsy about it.
She's so clumsy. She didn't know how to get up on it. But, just getting her paws up on it was good enough for her. She was doing really well with it.
The peanut is like a big exercise ball for dogs, so they learn to climb up on it and do different exercises that help build up their muscles. Somebody brought a dog-sized yoga mat to class tonight. That was kind of amazing.
That was awesome.
And then we got talking about like yoga and spas and how, you know, it would be nice if maybe the dogs had little robes, when they came for grooming.
Robes,
I don't know. We'll see.
Little cucumber slices on their eyes. I think that would be great.
That would be adorable. Yeah. So the number to call in, if you want to call in, is 508-996-0500. And again, any questions that you have that we can answer, we'll walk you through how to train different tricks. We'll walk you through different training questions. So feel free to call in and we can help you.
Definitely.
And also, you were saying the tricks for grooming. I did a presentation on this not too long ago at the Tridex event, which is the Stunt Dog National Championships. It was their first ever event. So, I was super nervous. I'm not going to lie, because it's something really different and novel. And I think trying to relate those two different things can be very different. And especially if you are dropping your dog off at the groomers and you don't know the whole process, you don't know how much actually goes into it. So trying to get people to understand why we want them to train their dogs for grooming, just like training our dogs life skills, is really important.
I think people think that it's a lot easier than it really is. Like, we definitely don't just play with puppies all day long.
That would be amazing though.
I mean, sometimes I get to play with puppies, but not all the time. And a lot of people, I don't think that they know that, you know, training these tricks can actually help in for groomers, for vets. Like, it's a big help for us.
Oh yeah, definitely for vets too. That's a good point. When I take my dogs to the vet, they probably think I'm crazy, but I come out with like my target stick. Let's do this.
You're there with a clicker.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. Yeah. Also, even like reactive dogs, you can use tricks in that kind of training too, or dogs with behavioral issues. Because if you think what really is a trick, I mean, it's just a behavior that we have taught the dog. You do this when we say this cue, and that's really all a trick is. So rollover is the same thing as asking your dog to like pay attention on leash or heel or do any other type of behavior. Yeah. And we use, sometimes we use behavior markers like clickers, so maybe we should talk about that a little bit. Do you use a clicker often? Or?
I go back and forth. I use the clicker. I don't know if it's getting easier or harder now, because it's like I got to hold the leash and the clicker and the treats. And so I go back and forth. At home, I try to use the clicker because obviously I can keep her off leash when we're in our house and there's no other dogs around. So I'll use the clicker. But then when we go outside, I try to just use a word instead. We do yes a lot.
Oh, good.
You know, I praise her, good girl.
Yeah.
But mostly it's either the clicker, I would say. It's just, it gets a little tricky when you're in class.
When you try to hold the treats, the dog, the clicker.
The clicker. We're
and I'm
trying to hold
you,
everything.
Do this, do that.
And I'm like, and we're also trying to transition her away from, you know, staring at the treat bag all the time. I think that's a big thing. So I'm putting treats in my pockets and, you know, all of these different places that I'm looking for them. And then I got the clicker too. So it gets a little complicated. So I definitely find that having a command word for that is a good thing.
And the clicker is just used, for anyone listening, it's used as a behavior marker. So when we're training a new behavior, we'll click tiny approximations of the finished behavior. So the click is always followed by a reward. We click and then give the dog a treat reward, but you can also use a marker word instead. So that's really useful for teaching new behaviors. We might not use that forever, but you might pick it up and train the dog something new with it and then kind of phase it out.
I think it's a fun thing too, not only for you training the dog, but for you, you know, you got to kind of train yourself.
I thought you were going to say, like, for training other people.
Like, we could try that.
That's fun,
I should try that. Every time Katie goes to do the dishes, I'd be, click, give her a treat. That'd be great. But, it's kind of like...
What kind of treat would you give her?
Sour Patch Kids.
Oh, good.
Sour Patch Kids, for sure. But, yeah, with training, you're also training yourself. Right. Like I catch you coming by sometimes being like, oh, you clicked right on time, you know, and that's, you get excited about that too. You're doing the right thing. So it's kind of like a side game for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's fun to try to get that exact timing. I don't know. I play video games, so I'm like, it reminds me a lot of playing video games, trying to get the timing in. So if you want to be a clicker trainer, you should definitely play video games. It'll help you.
For sure.
And also, you were talking about having the food in different places and not always in your treat bag. That's really important because having the reinforcement come from different places will affect the finished behavior. So sometimes when I'm training, especially if I'm training like heel work and I want my dog to heel really nicely and have a nice pretty finished heel, which is just the left side walking, it's a little different than casual walking because they're aligned with your left leg and they're looking up at you. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll have the treats in different places. Like I'll even put it in my shoe or like on my back belt, or just have it somewhere where the dog isn't expecting it, and then I just grab it and surprise them, and it really revs them up.
So have you ever like gone home and you got treats in your shoe? And
every day, always.
That's definitely a thing I noticed, since I became a groomer. There's treats in my car, there's treats in like all the pockets I have of all my jeans, and
treats and hair.
Hair, yep, definitely.
Sometimes nail clippings.
Nail clippings is a big one. Yeah, a lot of times I go home and it's just hair everywhere.
We look like we're turning gray because we have all this white Great Pyrenees hair.
Yeah.
We love it. We wouldn't want anything else, though.
No, definitely not. Nope. This is how I like it.
We should probably talk about, we've talked a lot about treats, so maybe the types of treats that we use. You said the turkey for strawberry is her treats.
I use mostly like deli meats. I like turkey for her for those high value. I've done hot dogs too. But I find that the deli cuts really work well.
Yeah, so like meats, anything your dog really likes, that's going to be your high value. And then you can also just use their regular food. So if you're training a lot throughout the day, you can kind of balance that out and use their food. You look like you want to say something funny.
I remember when Iggy was going to class, his treats.
Oh,
I had to specially go and get him French fries. That's all he would work
whatever
for.
Works. We wouldn't generally recommend that, but
No.
Iggy is a special case.
Yeah.
And that was when you first adopted him, or when you first got him. Wasn't that like one of the first treats he had?
Yeah.
That was kind of the
I have this thing. I don't know if it's because he's a little dog, but it's really bad. I like to give him things to see how he chews it. So I love giving him like chips and
should
Cheetos.
Make videos of this.
He knows how to eat corn on the cob. A lot of people freak out about that one, but I think it's hilarious. I turn it and he just nibbles on it with his little front teeth. He knows.
That's adorable. I mean, I would watch like a whole show on this. So if anyone has their dog eating foods that are safe for them and you want to send us videos, we want to watch this.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, in class I was one of the classes this week, I was telling them, like, if you take videos of your dogs doing different things and we'll kind of decode the behavior because we're super geeky and we like to do that. And we'll like sit down and like, how many times did this dog yawn and things like that. But you can send us dogs eating too. We like that.
Definitely. That reminds me about Mooney and her I don't want to do this anymore, so I'm gonna start itching myself.
Yeah, itching. They pretend to scratch.
It's a big thing that she does when she's in class. I don't think that it's necessarily because she doesn't want to do it anymore, but I feel like she's like, oh well, I don't really know what to do next, so I gotta itch.
And it's really good that you pay attention to that, because sometimes just giving them a break or giving them the choice to do something else can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Like if you ask your dog to do something, if you say sit, I'm just gonna use a super simple example, and your dog doesn't sit, they're not being stubborn or disobeying you. It just might be something is different about the environment. So listen to your dog and instead take a step back and say, okay, well, what do you want to do? If they want to go sniff for a second, if something is bothering them and that's why they don't want to sit, and then try again. Yeah. Of course, it's super easy, but
yeah. Well, for some dogs, it wasn't easy for Strawberry. It took quite a few weeks to get her to sit.
Yeah, but that's a good example.
We got it down now. Now she's a sitting pro. And it's great. Everyone laughs at me because, when she's doing it, that's all the praise. I'm like, you're the smartest dog in the world just for sitting.
Aw, that's awesome. Yeah. And that's a jackpot praise, like when you give them the best praise. Yep. When I was training Yuri, the dumbbell retrieve, he was not about the dumbbell. He just didn't like to hold it. He was never really a dog that liked to retrieve. And now, you see him, he brings me grooming tools and he loves it.
Yep.
So the first time he finally got the dumbbell to my hand, I accidentally dropped my treat bag. And I just went crazy. I fell to the floor and treats were everywhere. Now I have no problem. He retrieves like a pro now.
And that's a great thing too. It's like a groomer assistant, like little dog getting you all your stuff.
I love it.
One day I was outside, I was de-shedding Mooney and I dropped my tool and she just went for it, picked it up, gave it to me. I'm like,
hey,
this is
thanks.
the best thing ever. Now I don't have to bend down to get stuff that I need.
It's super super helpful if we're grooming. When I groom alone, I have a dog on the table, so if I drop something, I would have to take that dog off the table, go get what I need. So I just say, Yuri, go get me that brush. Yeah. Not that we drop things often.
No, definitely not.
Or not that they get like kicked out of our hands.
The things just go flying off the table and we're just like, okay.
We have one dog, and this person will know who I'm talking about if they're watching, who likes to kick when they're getting their nails trimmed.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Do.
She'll be really excited.
He mule kicks. That's always fun.
So as soon as I go around the table and I pick up that back paw, boing.
Yep. He's an awesome dog, though.
We get beat up a lot, but we love what we do, and well,
it's one of those things that you never really think is exciting. When I go home and I'm like, hey, I got mule kicked in the chest today by a dog. It was great. It's awesome.
And we're still positive.
Yeah.
Our positive kind of philosophy isn't just about positive reinforcement. That's a way that we reinforce dogs, but we're not just talking about positive reinforcement methods. We're talking about our whole attitudes, how we talk to our customers, how we work with the pets, how we contribute to our industry. So really, we just have kind of a whole positive bubble,
yeah.
I guess.
I feel like you have to be. Dogs pick up on your senses and whatnot, and that's a big thing for me. Like, even if I'm having a bad day, like personally for myself, I'm like, I gotta change that attitude so the dog doesn't pick that up.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want to cause more problems than there needs to be. So yeah, that's a big thing too.
I think it really spills over into life without dogs too. Like, people are always asking me why I'm so happy. I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a dog trainer, so I'm used to
that's been a big impact on my life, I found, since I got my labs. I mean, I've always had animals growing up, but I could never have what I wanted.
Yeah.
But anything I could have, I would take. We always lived in an apartment, so I always had a cat and whatnot. But then I'd be like, hey, can we get a hamster? Can we get this?
Yeah.
Can we get that? I had birds, hamsters, reptiles. Then I moved out on my own, and I was like, it's time for a dog.
Yeah.
So we got Iggy, and then once we finally moved to a house, I was like, it's time for more dogs, and I got 2 more. And working with dogs, there's never a day I go home
unhappy.
It just doesn't happen.
I'm sure once in a while.
It gets stressful at times, but I can always go home and I tell stories about my favorite dogs.
Yeah.
Or, my favorite thing that happened that day with that dog.
And I think just knowing how our behavior affects the dog's behavior, we take this and then we kind of use that in just day-to-day life. Where if we go into something with a really positive attitude, it's going to change the whole dynamics of that situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, animals are great.
So
I think we're about at time. Again, if anyone has any questions, you can call in. We have a few minutes, 508-996-0500. And do you have anything else to share about trick training to inspire some trick dog trainers out there?
Trick dog training. I definitely think that, going back to what I said before, it's really amazing what you can train your dogs to do. And it's not only satisfaction for the dogs, it's satisfaction for you too when you get them to do that thing. It's awesome. I don't think there's a better feeling than that. And then you get to show it off to all your friends.
Yeah.
Everyone's always so surprised when I'm like, Mooney can play dead, and Mooney knows how to roll over, and she can do all these things, and I taught her that. It's something to be proud about.
And the dogs love it. And then you can be that strange person at the park that is, I think we have a caller. All right, so.
No, you don't have to pick it up. You can just push the button at the top and put them right through and say...
Hi, you're on Positive Pets with MJ and Sam.
I can hear them. They're there.
Do you hear them in yours?
No.
No, I can hear the noise. There's somebody definitely there.
Did we lose you?
Hold on. Let's see if I can... We don't want to lose a caller. All right, see if they can hear you now.
Hi, you're on Positive Pets with MJ and Sam.
Hi, MJ and Sam.
Hi.
I've heard you guys talk a lot about the positive aspects of grooming at the groomers.
Yes.
But I was wondering, what are some ways that pet owners can bring the positive grooming home with them and kind of keep that going until the next time they go to the groomers?
Oh, that's a really good question. So how can pet owners take the training that we do in the grooming salon and work with that at home. So you can do things like training your dog to offer paws for nail trims and working, even if you're not going to trim your dog's nails at home, you can work on handling the paws and handling the individual nails, putting pressure on the nails to get them used to that. You can train your dog to use a scratch pad where they actually learn to file their own nails. You can you can work with them for like going up on the table or getting into the tub. And I think a big one is just having their faces held for trimming of the faces if they're a dog with coat and they need that kind of trimming. It's really good to get them used to that. Do you have anything to add to that also?
I think
sorry.
I think a chin rest is a really good.
Oh,
really
yeah,
good
that
trick.
is a good one. So they actually learn to rest their chin in the palm of your hand, and that's a nice relaxed behavior that we use in grooming and vet care, but also we use that in just training dogs how to be calm in different situations too.
Awesome. I love that stuff. I don't think many people think of things like that at home.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. Do you have any specific questions about a dog you're training? Does this help you?
It did actually. That was all that I had to ask. But thank you guys very much for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good night, guys.
Thanks for coming on Positive Pets. I love that more people are interested in training grooming for, at home. Training for grooming. It's a weird thing to say. Like, it kind of doesn't make sense until you think about it.
Yeah, training for grooming and vet care. Going to the vet. I think that's a big thing, too.
Very good. Well, thank you for listening. I'm MJ on Positive Pets, and this is Sam.
And I'm Sam. I had a really great time
Thank you.
being on the show.
Stay positive.